After 20 years without any contact, my parents suddenly appeared on my doorstep in Nashville. They pounded on the door, acting as though they still had control over my life. There were no apologies, no signs of regret, only demands to see their grandson. These were the same two people who had kicked me out at 17 for being pregnant, yet now they were pretending to be loving relatives. I kept my voice steady. I cracked the door slightly, looked directly at them, and asked, "Which grandson are you talking about?" Their eager expressions faded immediately as the weight of reality struck. They had assumed they could erase the past and claim the child they had once rejected. They stepped right into the plan I had been waiting for. Before I describe how I turned their greed against them, hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know where you are watching from. I want to see how far these stories of accountability reach. My family had disowned me completely when I was 17. That night remains vivid in my mind. I can still hear the hum of the refrigerator, smell my mother's expensive vanilla candle mingling with my father's strong aftershave. On the kitchen counter sat the positive pregnancy test. Those two pink lines changed everything forever. My father, Robert, froze for a moment, then broke the silence with a calm yet cutting statement. "You won't bring disgrace to this home." Every word landed like a strike. My mother, Vivian, did not raise her voice. She didn't need to. She simply turned our framed family portrait face down and spoke softly, telling me to get ready to leave. I tried to ask if they cared what had happened to me, how the pregnancy occurred, or whether I felt scared. My father glanced at his watch. "You have exactly 10 minutes," he said. The sound of the front door latching shut has haunted me ever since. I stepped into the Tennessee winter wearing only a cheap jacket, a backpack, and a silver necklace I had bought secondhand, the only thing that felt truly mine. Liam Maxwell, my high school boyfriend who claimed he loved me, stopped returning calls 2 days later. His parents, through a lawyer, sent a letter warning that any attempt to contact him in the future would be considered harassment. I read that letter crying in a diner booth, the ink running as it hit me that I hadn't just been abandoned. I had been erased entirely. I wandered Nashville like a ghost for weeks, sleeping in Centennial Park and using the community center showers when permitted. Every passing car made me hope my mother might suddenly appear and regret her decision. She never did. One morning, an older woman approached me while I sat on a park bench wrapped in a borrowed blanket. Her name was Veronica Hayes. She didn't ask why I was there. She simply said, "You look freezing. Come eat breakfast with me." Her voice carried natural authority. Over coffee, she gave me advice that shaped my future. If people discard you, don't chase them. Build a life so successful that seeing it makes them regret everything. That advice became my mission, though I didn't realize at the time how foundational it would be. The first sign came in the form of a note carrying my mother's signature fragrance, a rich artificial vanilla scent, accompanied by an old picture of me at 17 framed between the two who abandoned me. On the back, in her precise handwriting, she suggested forgetting the past and mentioned they were ready to see their grandson. I nearly laughed aloud. After 22 years of silence, they suddenly decided I mattered, but only because they saw value in my childhood. I left the message on my kitchen counter and returned to my routine, ignoring them as a first step. 2 weeks later, presents began arriving, an engraved tablet for my son Finn, massive bouquets of lilies filling the house with fragrance, and notes about family bonds and forgiveness. I returned each delivery promptly with short replies. I was not ready to confront these memories. I deliberately made my writing appear shaky and uncertain, hoping they would perceive vulnerability. People like them only pursue targets they believe are weak. Next, they orchestrated a public relations campaign. A lifestyle magazine published a flattering story portraying them as heartbroken and attempting reconciliation with an ungrateful daughter, even cropping a photo of me at my first hotel opening to appear as part of their happy family. Online reactions were harsh. She should show gratitude. Family means everything. I never responded, forwarding the article directly to Dana Quinn, who quickly traced it back to the PR agency my parents had hired. Then Liam Maxwell reappeared, calling from a blocked number with a softer voice than I remembered, claiming he wanted to make amends and insisting Finn needed a proper father figure. The audacity made my hands tremble slightly. Calmly, I asked, "Do you mean the type of father who abandons people when difficulty arises?" He laughed, mistaking my words for flirtation. unaware I was documenting the entire conversation. Meanwhile, Dana's monitoring tools flashed with notifications. My parents were researching Tennessee family statutes, inheritance laws, and grandparent access procedures, not to reconcile, but to build a legal strategy. I feigned engagement, replying repeatedly, "I am not ready to communicate," which only encouraged their persistence. My father, Robert, left voicemail messages about forgiveness and family wealth, forgetting he once called my unborn child a moral stain. Their impatience became visible, their manipulations increasingly transparent. My mother, Vivian, posted a photo on social media of an empty chair at their dinner table with the caption, "We always save a seat for her," earning thousands of likes and waves of sympathy. The critical slip came when my father spoke at a charity event streamed online. Nobody should lose the chance to know their own grandchild. The audience applauded, oblivious to the underlying threat. I watched the clip from the office I had built myself. His tone was rehearsed, measured, self-righteous, the same one he used when declaring, "You are no longer my daughter." This time, I smiled slowly. "Excellent," I whispered. "We will give them the public attention they craved." That evening, after his speech went viral, I poured myself a drink. Then I opened the antique safe Veronica had given me years earlier. Inside were files arranged like chapters of a book: Davis Estate, Maxwell Records, Tennessee Inheritance Law. I had waited patiently for 2 decades, and now it was time to turn that patience into a weapon. Veronica Hayes had prepared me for this moment. When I worked in her firm, she would sit behind her large mahogany desk with a cup of Earl Grey steaming nearby and offer quiet guidance. "Revenge is not about fury," she once told me. "It is about perfect timing. Fury fades quickly, but perfect timing delivers a clean strike." I hadn't fully understood her words back then, but now I understood everything. The first step had to be legal. I contacted Ethan Sauer, the attorney who had managed Veronica's estate and later became my most trusted partner. He didn't ask why I was finally ready. He only said, "I'll need copies of every document they ever signed." His calm steadiness anchored me. Together, we drafted trusts and airtight clauses stating that any individual who had ever relinquished parental rights to me or to any child of mine could never claim inheritance or entitlement through kinship. The law would reflect their past cruelty exactly as they had written it. Next came the digital strategy. Dana Quinn set up monitoring systems that alerted us every time my parents searched my name or Finn's. Within days, her screens lit up constantly, emails to PR agencies, messages to private investigators, even texts from Liam about attempting to negotiate a financial settlement. We never interfered. We allowed them to assemble their case piece by piece, because every word they wrote became potential evidence. I prepared Finn as well. At 12, he was observant, intelligent, and resilient, skills forged through survival, just like mine. I told him that if anyone ever tried to discuss family or legacy with him, he was to smile politely and call me immediately. He nodded, understanding the weight of that instruction. Meanwhile, we began seeding carefully crafted misinformation online. Articles circulated praising Finn's cutting-edge software designed to improve hotel efficiency. The foundation was truthful enough to appear legitimate, but enhanced just enough to lure attention. A week later, a courier delivered another package from my parents, this one addressed directly to Finn with a note that read, "We need to talk about your future." It was perfect bait. Behind the scenes, Ethan fortified every legal barrier while Dana refined the digital net. Every email, every message they sent was intercepted, time-stamped, and archived. The more desperate they became, the more valuable evidence they handed us. When they finally filed for grandparent visitation rights and financial claims, Ethan only smiled. They had walked straight into our design. That night, I stood in the lobby of the hotel I had built from the ground up, watching guests arrive beneath the warm glow of the chandelier. I touched the silver pendant at my neck. Once it symbolized pain, now it felt like armor. They had cast me out to protect their reputation, and soon that same name would be disgraced across every media outlet in Nashville. The Innovation Gala was scheduled for 2 weeks later, and when the lights rose, the truth would strike harder than anything I could ever say aloud. The Nashville Innovation Gala opened beneath an impossibly bright sky. Inside the convention center, spotlights swept across polished floors as cameras flashed and founders, investors, and journalists filled every seat. I waited backstage behind the curtain, watching Finn straighten his jacket. Calm and composed, the audience reflected in his glasses. None of them knew the stage was about to become a battleground. "Mom," he whispered, tugging at his sleeve, "are you really sure you want to do this?" I smiled gently. "I've been ready for 22 years. His introduction thundered through the hall. "Please welcome Finn Davis, lead developer of Atlas Systems." Applause erupted, and instead of racing, my pulse settled. That sound represented everything I had built from nothing. Finn began speaking about loyalty, innovation, and the importance of systems that never abandon people. His confidence echoed the strength I once had to fake at 17. Then, precisely on cue, the screens behind him shifted. The lights dimmed slightly, and silence fell as a single sentence appeared. "Family is not defined by blood. It is a choice." A ripple of murmurs swept the room. In the front row sat Robert, Vivian, and Liam, impeccably dressed, smiling for cameras, presenting themselves as a united family. I stepped onto the stage. The applause faltered, then stopped completely. My heels struck the floor with purpose. "Good afternoon," I said, my voice slicing through the stillness. I hadn't planned to speak today, but since family had become such a popular topic, every camera turned toward me. The smiles vanished from my parents' faces. 22 years ago," I continued, "two people decided their social status mattered more than their daughter's life. I spoke of a pregnant girl expelled into the cold, stripped of safety, home, and future. I spoke of loss and of resilience. Behind me, an image appeared, a young girl in a worn coat standing outside a locked front door. Then another image filled the screen, a legal document bearing my parents' names. We, Robert and Vivian Davis, relinquish all parental rights to our daughter Julia Davis and any offspring born or unborn." The room gasped. My father turned pale. My mother clutched her pearls like a lifeline. "You wanted public attention," I said, looking directly at them. "This is what it looks like." Dana's voice came softly through my earpiece. "Play file 1. The screen flickered to life, revealing a recorded message from Veronica Hayes, dignified and piercing even in death. "Those who abandon their own always believe they can return when it benefits them," she said. "They forget that time does not heal wounds they never protected. Julia built her success alone. She owes you nothing." Silence swallowed the room. Then emails appeared, projected large and unmistakable. One from Robert Davis to his PR team read, "Subject: Public sympathy strategy. If we emphasize the family connection and highlight the grandson's recent success, public opinion may shift in our favor." Another message followed, a text exchange between Liam Maxwell and my mother. "Liam, she'll break if we exploit her emotional vulnerability. She's still fragile about that miscarriage. Vivian, do it. We need access before she finalizes the trust fund." The audience gasped again, phones raised to capture every moment. My father stood, voice trembling. "This is taken completely out of context," he stammered. I cut him off. "Context," I said, stepping closer, the spotlight glinting on the silver chain around my neck. "The context is you forced me to miscarry on a cold bathroom floor while calling me a disgrace. The context is that you only wanted a grandchild when you realized you could profit from him." My mother's lip quivered. Liam looked like he wished he could vanish. I turned gently to Finn. "Tell them who you are." He stepped forward, speaking into the microphone with the calm steadiness of an adult. "I am adopted," he declared. "She rescued me. She taught me that family is not about blood. It is about who shows up." The crowd moved visibly. Some rose to their feet, others were frozen, journalists rushing for sound bites. Then Ethan Sauer, my attorney, walked calmly onto the stage stairs carrying a folder. "For the public record," he announced, "these individuals have filed false claims under Tennessee family law. They attempted to seize financial control of assets and exploit a minor through fabricated kinship." He held up the signed legal documents. "Effective immediately, restraining orders have been issued for Robert and Vivian Davis and Liam Maxwell. They are prohibited from contacting Julia or Finn Davis." Security moved into the aisles. Cameras followed my father as he shouted that it was a plot. "You can't do this," he yelled. I looked at him, the man who once called me worthless, and spoke quietly into the microphone. "Watch me." The stage lights flared, revealing everything. Security escorted them through a sea of murmuring attendees. Voices shouted, "Is it true? And how could you abandon your daughter?" My mother's face had turned chalk white. Liam kept his head down. I waited until the doors closed behind them, then turned back to the audience. "They taught me that love has limits," I said. "So I built my life outside of theirs. If you have ever been told you are not good enough, prove them wrong by succeeding." Applause began softly, then erupted into a roar. People cheered. Some wiped their eyes. Camera flashes flickered like lightning. Finn reached for my hand and squeezed it. We walked off the stage together. In the quiet hallway, away from the commotion, he whispered, "Is this finally finished?" I shook my head. It's not about ending something. It's about restoring balance. Outside, news trucks lined the street. Headlines were already forming. Davis scandal, justice for Julia, family's choice. For the first time in years, a weight lifted. Not because I had won, but because I stopped carrying burdens that were never mine. By morning, footage from the gala was everywhere. Every major network replayed my parents being removed, their expressions distorted under the bright lights. Commentators dubbed it the Davis collapse. Hashtags trended for days. Consequences hit swiftly. 3 of my father's real estate partners canceled deals, citing ethical concerns. His company's stock fell 15% overnight. Dana anonymously exposed screenshots of my father calling me a marketing problem. Investors abandoned his company rapidly. My mother attempted a public apology filmed in their living room. Her voice trembled with false regret. "We only ever wanted to reconnect with our child," she claimed, adorned with pearls and lies. The internet rejected her instantly. Comment sections overflowed with anger. "You disowned her. You do not get to claim her now." Liam Maxwell's downfall was even harsher. His emails about manipulating me had caught the IRS's attention. Hiding funds overseas while applying for federal aid was no longer a secret. Ethan's contacts ensured the correct agencies investigated. Within a month, Liam faced tax fraud and misrepresentation inquiries and went completely silent. Meanwhile, I focused on building something positive. The Veronica Hayes Foundation opened its first downtown center, providing housing and job training for single mothers. Cameras flashed at the ribbon cutting, but this time they documented redemption. Ethan stood beside me, dependable and calm. When the crowd quieted, he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket and smiled. "You have built homes for everyone else," he said softly. "Perhaps it is time to build one for yourself." The audience gasped as I accepted his proposal. That night, after everyone left, I walked through the empty hall, the air smelling of promise and new paint. I touched the silver necklace still around my neck. Once a symbol of loss, it now felt like proof of resilience. Some nights I still hear the front door click shut, the sound of rejection. But now, when it echoes, I imagine a different door opening. The one I built on my own. If you've ever been told you are not enough, remember this. Your value does not need their permission. Build your peace, and let them watch from the outside. Hit like, share this story, and tell me where you are watching.